The British monarchy has faced countless storms, but none have felt quite as urgent as the one unfolding now. In a shocking turn of events, King Charles has been rushed to the hospital, leaving the nation and the world anxiously awaiting updates. The health of the monarch has always been a matter of great public concern, but this latest development has shaken Buckingham Palace to its core. And then came the statement, issued not by doctors or palace officials, but by Prince William himself. Calm but visibly emotional, the Prince of Wales stepped forward to address the public in words that no one expected. His message wasn't just about his father's condition. It carried undertones of duty, urgency, and a striking glimpse into the uncertain future of the monarchy. For centuries, the royal family has been defined by its ability to remain composed in times of crisis. But William's shocking statement revealed a side of the heir that many had never seen before. The tension between private worry and public responsibility was etched into every word he spoke. What exactly did William reveal? Why was his statement so surprising? And what does this mean for the monarchy at a time when the crown itself feels fragile? Tonight, we uncover the full story behind King Charles's sudden hospitalization, the atmosphere inside the palace, and the startling words from Prince William that have left the world questioning what comes next for the royal family. For much of his life, King Charles has lived under the shadow of immense expectation. From his earliest days as heir to the throne, the weight of the monarchy rested on his shoulders. But now, as the king himself, that weight has become heavier than ever before, and the recent health scare that sent him to the hospital has left both the nation and the palace on edge. Reports confirmed that the king was rushed into medical care after concerns arose about his health condition. While the palace has often kept details of the monarch's medical issues private, this time the sense of urgency was unmistakable. Sources close to the family described the atmosphere as tense and deeply concerning, with senior royals immediately rearranging schedules and rushing to be by his side. For a monarchy that has always prided itself on stability, the sudden hospitalization of the sovereign struck at the very heart of that image. Observers noted the timing of the incident. The king, now in his 70s, has spent recent months carrying out a demanding schedule of engagements, travel, and political duties. Those close to him had quietly voiced concern that the constant strain might be taking its toll. And while Charles has always been known for his resilience, the physical demands of being king at his age cannot be overlooked. For a man who waited his entire life for the throne, his reign has only just begun, making this health crisis all the more alarming. Inside the palace, courtiers scrambled to manage both the logistics of the king's care and the public's need for information. Historically, the royal family has been guarded when it comes to matters of health. Queen Elizabeth herself maintained an air of mystery around her personal well-being, rarely allowing the public a glimpse of her medical realities. But this is a different era, one defined by 24-hour news cycles, social media, and instant global attention. Silence was not an option. As the news broke, crowds began gathering outside Buckingham Palace, much as they have during moments of crisis throughout history. The tension was palpable, not just because of worry for Charles himself, but because of what his hospitalization represents. Every health scare for a monarch is more than just a private family issue. It's a constitutional matter, one that stirs questions about succession, continuity, and the stability of the crown. Commentators quickly pointed out that Charles has already faced challenges that make his reign unique. He ascended the throne later in life than any monarch before him, inheriting the crown at an age when most men are enjoying retirement. While he has shown a commitment to modernization, his reign has been shadowed by public debates about the monarchy's relevance, the scars of scandals, and the ongoing shifts within the Commonwealth. Now, his health scare adds another layer of uncertainty to an already fragile moment. The reaction from those closest to him was immediate. Camilla, the queen consort, was described as being at his side as quickly as possible, while senior aides worked tirelessly to ensure that the king's engagements would either be postponed or handled by other members of the family. But it was Prince William's rapid involvement that drew the most attention. Unlike past royal health updates, which were typically delivered through official palace press releases, It was the Prince of Wales himself who would step forward to speak to the nation. The sudden hospitalization of King Charles was not just about the present, it was about the future. In those anxious hours, the monarchy faced a question it has long tried to avoid. How stable is the institution if the king himself is vulnerable? And it was within this atmosphere of uncertainty that Prince William's shocking statement would come. A message that carried far more weight than just an update on his father's health. When Buckingham Palace confirmed King Charles had been hospitalized, the world waited for the traditional, carefully worded update from royal aides. For generations, that was how the monarchy handled moments of crisis, with press releases polished to perfection, leaving little emotion on display. But this time was different. Instead of a faceless statement, it was Prince William, the heir to the throne, who chose to step into the spotlight. Dressed in a dark suit, his face solemn, William addressed the nation with a gravity that surprised many. "My father is receiving the best possible care," he began, his voice steady but edged with emotion. But then came the words that turned the moment into something far more than a routine reassurance. William spoke not only of concern for his father's health, but also of the burden of duty, the fragility of time, and the reality that the monarchy was standing on uncertain ground. Observers were struck by how personal his words felt. William did not hide behind the formal language that so often characterizes royal communications. Instead, he allowed a glimpse of the sun behind the prince. He spoke of his father's dedication, of his determination to serve even when his body struggled to keep pace, and of the family's deep concern during those long hours in hospital corridors. It was a rare moment of vulnerability from a man trained his entire life to keep such emotions hidden. But it was the second half of William's statement that truly shocked the public. With quiet intensity, he spoke of the monarchy's future, hinting that the transition of responsibilities may need to come sooner than anyone expected. While he did not explicitly discuss succession, his words carried the weight of preparation, as if the heir to the throne was already being called upon to shoulder part of the crown's burden. "The institution endures," he said, "but it is built on people, on family, on resilience, and on a shared commitment to serve." Those words, carefully chosen yet undeniably direct, sent ripples through the press and public alike. For decades, William has been seen as the steady hand waiting in the wings, but here he was, stepping forward not just as a supportive son, but as the visible protector of the monarchy itself. His statement marked a shift, a signal that he was no longer preparing for the role of king in some distant future, but was already stepping into it. Inside the palace, the move was described as both bold and necessary. With King Charles unable to speak directly to the public during his hospitalization, William's words filled the void and reassured a nation searching for stability. But they also raised questions. Why did William choose to make such a direct emotional appeal? Was this simply the instinct of a son worried about his father? Or was it the beginning of a more formal transition of power? Royal commentators immediately began dissecting every line. Some saw his words as a sign of unity, a prince reminding the nation that the monarchy would endure no matter the circumstances. Others interpreted them as a subtle acknowledgement that Charles's reign, short as it has been, may be entering a fragile stage. The British public responded with a mixture of admiration and unease. Many praised William for his openness, saying it made him more relatable and human. Others admitted that hearing him speak in such a way brought an uncomfortable reality into focus. The future of the crown may be closer than anyone imagined. The statement was more than just an update. It was a moment that crystallized the generational shift already underway. For years, William has been positioned as the modernizer, the one who would guide the monarchy into a new era. Now, with his father in hospital and his words echoing across the globe, it seemed that future was no longer hypothetical. It was happening in real time. What William chose to reveal and what he chose to leave unsaid has forever changed the conversation about the monarchy. And as the world continued to digest his shocking statement, the focus turned back to the king himself. How serious was Charles's condition? And what did his hospitalization mean for the fragile balance of duty and stability at the heart of the crown? As the news of King Charles's hospitalization rippled across the world, all eyes turned to his eldest son and heir, Prince William. His statement, though short, was heavy with the kind of emotion that can't be disguised by royal formality. It was a moment where the prince wasn't just addressing the public as the future King of England. He was speaking as a son, a husband, and a man standing at the most delicate crossroads of his life. For William, the burden has always been immense. From the moment he was born, the path of destiny was laid before him, and with it came an endless cycle of scrutiny, duty, and responsibility. But nothing could have prepared him for this moment, watching his father's health decline while the weight of the monarchy slowly shifts onto his shoulders. People close to the palace whisper that William is spending as much time as possible near his father, slipping into Clarence's house for quiet visits that the press rarely captures. It is there, in the privacy of those rooms, that he is not the polished Prince of Wales, but a son simply hoping to share whatever time is left with his father. At the same time, he is being drawn into the machinery of the crown. Advisors and senior courtiers have begun quietly briefing him on matters of state, ensuring that he understands the responsibilities he may need to carry sooner than expected. The reality is unavoidable. Every meeting, every document, every handshake is a rehearsal for a role he may soon inherit. Insiders say these moments weigh heavily on him, for William has never hidden his desire for a more balanced, private life, one that allows him to be a hands-on father to George, Charlotte, and Louis, and a supportive husband to Catherine. Yet now duty demands that he set aside personal comfort and prepare for the unimaginable. And it is precisely this tension that has captured the public's attention. On one side, William is the future monarch, expected to embody strength, steadiness, and continuity for the British people. On the other side, he is a son grappling with the thought of losing his father. Those close to him have noticed the exhaustion in his eyes, the quiet pauses in his speech, and the solemn tone he carries when discussing his father's condition. It is the portrait of a man trying to live in two worlds, the private and the public, while both crash down upon him at once. Even his statement to the press revealed that struggle. While carefully worded, it carried undertones of sorrow and urgency, as if he wanted to assure the nation while also bracing them for what could lie ahead. It was less a royal address and more a cry for understanding, from a man who wants the world to see him not just as the heir to the throne, but as a son praying for his father's recovery. In this moment, William became deeply relatable. People across Britain and beyond saw themselves in him, not as royalty, but as a child worrying over a parent's fragile health. Adding to the pressure is the presence of his wife, Catherine, who herself has been navigating personal health concerns. William has long made it clear that his family comes first, yet the monarchy does not allow for much rest. Between managing his children's needs, standing by his wife, and preparing for the possible loss of his father, William is stretched to his limits. Friends of the couple say he is torn between the desire to shield Catherine and their children from more stress, and the necessity of stepping into a growing leadership role. For the world, this chapter in William's life is symbolic. It represents the passing of an era, the slow fading of King Charles, and the rise of his son. But for William, it is painfully personal. Each day is a balancing act, a test of whether he can carry the emotional weight of family grief while also preparing for the immense public responsibility that awaits. His struggle is not one he can escape, and in that very conflict, the world has witnessed a rare, human side of a prince destined to be king. In many ways, William's silent battle between love and duty mirrors the very essence of monarchy itself, a life where personal desire is often eclipsed by national responsibility. And as the king remains under medical care, one truth is becoming clear. The heir is no longer just preparing. He is already stepping into the role fate has long demanded of him. The moment Prince William's words were released, the impact was immediate and far-reaching. Across Britain, and indeed around the world, people paused to take in the gravity of his statement. This was not just the voice of a prince offering a carefully crafted royal message. It was the voice of a son carrying pain, responsibility, and a looming sense of change. The reaction was swift, emotional and telling of the deep bond between the monarchy and the public it serves. Within the royal family itself, the mood grew more somber. Queen Camilla, already balancing her role as both consort and caretaker, has reportedly been deeply protective of her husband during this hospitalization. Sources close to the palace say she has insisted on being present for every medical briefing, ensuring no detail is overlooked. But William's statement struck a chord with her as well. It underscored the urgency of Charles's condition and the reality that the family is standing at the threshold of a new era, whether they are ready for it or not. For Camilla, it is both a test of resilience and a reminder that her place in history may soon be defined not only as queen consort, but also as the woman who supported a king through his most vulnerable days. Prince Harry, too, could not escape the ripples of William's words. Though estranged from the royal fold, reports suggest he has been kept informed of his father's health. Insiders speculate that William's emotional tone may have reached him personally, as a reminder that beneath all the divisions, they remain two brothers bound by love for the same father. Some wonder if this crisis could serve as a bridge, if not to fully mend their rift, then at least to bring them closer in shared concern. Yet others remain skeptical, pointing out that the wounds of the past run deep, and moments of unity are fleeting within this fractured family. The public response, however, has been overwhelming. In towns and cities across Britain, people gathered outside royal residences, leaving flowers, notes, and messages of support for the king. Social media platforms flooded with messages of solidarity for William, many praising his courage for speaking from the heart rather than hiding behind stiff formality. For a population that has endured political instability, economic struggles, and the lingering effects of global crises, William's vulnerability was both shocking and comforting. It reminded the people that even those at the highest levels of power are not immune to the pain of family illness. Yet not all reactions were purely emotional. For some, William's statement ignited fears about the monarchy's stability. Analysts and commentators began questioning what a sudden transition might mean for Britain. Could William be fully ready to assume the crown? Would Catherine be prepared to step into an even more demanding role as queen consort while still managing her own health challenges? And what of the children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, thrust further into the spotlight before their time? These questions reflected a quiet anxiety, one that William himself is undoubtedly grappling with in private. In Parliament, political leaders issued words of support for the king's recovery, but also hinted at the importance of preparing for continuity. The monarchy is not just a family. It is an institution woven into the fabric of the nation. And William's words, while heartfelt, were also a stark reminder that the line between private sorrow and public duty is thinner than ever. For ordinary citizens, the moment became a collective pause, a chance to reflect on the mortality of their leaders. Many still vividly remember the loss of Queen Elizabeth II, and the thought of facing another royal transition so soon feels almost too much to bear. But in William's statement, they also found a sliver of reassurance, a sense that, when the time comes, the monarchy will not falter. It may tremble under the weight of loss, but it will endure. As news anchors replayed William's words on screens across the globe, one truth became clear. His statement was not simply a son's emotional admission. It was the beginning of a larger story, a story of a monarchy on the cusp of change, a family bracing for heartbreak, and a nation watching history unfold in real time. The silence had been broken, and with it, the world understood that nothing about this moment was ordinary. It was raw, it was human, and it was a glimpse into the uncertain future of Britain's most enduring institution.